Hi everyone, so today we're going to learn how to add watercolor to our project that we have been working on. So you should have transferred your rough draft drawing using the tracing paper technique onto the good white paper, and your pencil line should be nice and light like mine. Now we get to use the watercolor. So you should have a watercolor set in front of you. You should have a cup of water, a paper towel, scrap paper, and various size brushes. So once you get set up, then you can start to paint. Most kids take the paintbrush, put it in the water, put it in the paint, and then start painting their artwork. That's actually the wrong way to use watercolors. What you want to do is use the top of the palette here. Mine is pretty worn. This is my set actually from college. I've had it a really long time. And what you want to do is pour a little bit of water into each of these sections, and this becomes your palette of where to mix colors. So I think I'm going to paint the stocking red. So I'll take my paintbrush, dip it in the water, dip it in the watercolor paint to activate it, and then start putting the paint in that section. Now I can take a piece of scrap paper and I could try out the color. And I look at this color, and for me it's a little light. The value is a little lighter than what I want. So what would I do? Add more paint. So again, take more paint, add it into the palette, and I keep adding paint until I get it the color I want. If I want it to be lighter, I would add more water. More paint makes the value darker. So I think this is a good color right here. You don't want to get really dark with your watercolors. It should not look solid. It should look as if it is almost see-through or translucent, almost like a sun catcher when you hold it up to a window. So now that I have the value I want, now I could start to paint that stocking. Now the stockings are pretty large shape, so that allows me to use my large paintbrush. I kind of outline the shape first, and then I start to fill it in with brush strokes. When you paint, you always want to go in one direction, either up and down or side to side. Watercolors tend to dry fairly quickly, so you have to move across the page or across your shape in a very even manner, working on the fast side. You want to be careful not to go out of the lines, and just take your time. Big rule of thumb with watercolors, never put wet paint next to wet paint. So once I'm done with one area, I want to skip around to a different area where I know the paint is not going to touch where I just did, because then you have something called bleeding. So now I can just keep going over everything, and I want those areas to look pretty solid and consistent with color. I don't want to have any dry spots, any white spots showing, so I can go over the whole area. And this looks pretty good now. And that's how you do the watercolor. Once it's dry, I could clean my brush. I could pour water into a different part of the palette, and I could keep doing the same thing with whatever color I wanted. So if I wanted to do the background, let's say blue, I would have to wait till this area dries. I could also use a blow dryer if I'm at home to get that dried quickly. Once that area dries and I do all my watercolors, now I'm ready for colored pencil. Colored pencils should be used where you have the detail areas, where things get really small. So where the patch on the stocking is, that might be a great area for colored pencils. So here I have my colored pencil set. Now I could pick the color I want. Let's say it's this green, and then I could color in each of the patches that I want with that green. Remember to use different values, because variety of values makes your project look more interesting. So here I'm using medium value, meaning a medium amount of pressure of green. If I want to change it up, then I can put a lot of pressure on my hand while I'm doing the green. So again, different values make your project look better, a little bit more sophisticated. And that allows me to get into those small detailed areas. Try it if I use a paintbrush, it might be a little bit difficult. So that's how you use your watercolors and your colored pencil to complete your project.